Thank you very much, Laska Hirlock. Minister, this is very unique what I'm raising here. We all know that the issues surrounding asylum seekers and refugees is a huge issue in our country at the moment. But the town of Borrisokane is unique. You've visited it yourself. You've met with people there. We have situations across Ireland, unfortunately, where there are various different protests going on from time to time. But we have a scenario in the town of Borrisokane in Tipperary whereby the people are up in arms about the fact that the asylum seekers who have been there since 2019 are being evicted. So, Minister, uniquely in the town, if this happens and some are meant to leave in July, you will have a protest of a different kind. Uniquely, and for the first time probably in Ireland, you'll have the town liaison committee and many people from surrounding areas protesting about the way in which they have been treated, being forced out of their accommodation. They are unique because in 2019 there was so many protests going on around the country. I remember issues in Ballinrobe, Oughterard and other places. And the government wanted to get a handle on this. So the people of Borrisokane stood up. I remember the public meetings. They stood up and were counted. And they ensured initially 16 units and further 4 more units later were used for families coming from various different war-torn areas. These are fantastic people. They made them feel welcome, and I'm very proud to represent that town for the way in which they dealt with that at that time. The people who came to Borrisokane, and there are 96 there now, uniquely 20 families. Some have got status over the last number of years, the majority of them have, a few haven't. There are approximately 96, there's 27 children in primary school, there are 10 in secondary school, and there are 11 in third level. Many of the adults are working. They're totally integrated. Sabello coaches underage soccer. He also set up a community garden in the town park. Guilema volunteers with the charity alone. And Asaya has just won the North Tipperary Under-13C Championship in hurling. They also are part of a range of other community activities. African Day was on recently, where all the community came out to support them. Now, naturally enough, all of these families are integrated in Borrisokane and are much loved in Borrisokane. And naturally enough, through time, they will move on potentially into other accommodation across the town or in areas nearby. But at this moment in time, most of them have qualified for HAP, but they can't find anywhere to live. And uniquely in 2019, an agreement was made between the Department of Justice, who looked after IPAS then, and the liaison group, i.e. the community of Borrisokane. And this is unique, I'd say, in Ireland, because it says as follows. If an international protection applicant for status is successful, any subsequent application by that individual to the local authority for financial assistance, i.e. HAP, to enable him or her to continue residing in the Riverside Centre will be a very positive and long-term outcome of the community's welcome and support. That is signed, Minister, by Mark Wilson, Principal Officer, on the 28th of November 2019.
Thank you, Deputy.
Now, the community there absolutely feel that that gentleman did a very good job. So, Minister, I'm asking you now uniquely, and this is a unique scenario. The word of the government and the department has to stand. And what are we saying to other communities? If where a very progressive change has taken place, where these asylum seekers have been taken on board, what are we saying to the people of Ireland and other communities if the word of the department isn't kept based on this agreement that was made in November 2019 following a contract being signed with Double Properties in September 2019?
Minister Truesman.
Thank you, Laska and Corla, and thank you, Deputy, for the question. And just at the outset to acknowledge the efforts of the people in Borrisokane over the last 4 or 5 years or so as well in helping people feel at home. Ireland and many other European countries are experiencing a significant increase in people seeking international protection. The arrival numbers remain significantly elevated. In the first 20 weeks of 2024, nearly 8,000 people have arrived in Ireland seeking accommodation from the state, averaging 398 people per week. This is more than 5 times the average from 2017 to 19. The highest weekly applications in 2014 was over 610 applicants. As of the 12th of May, there are 30,000 people accommodated in the International Protection Accommodation Service system as a whole, compared with approximately 8,700 people at the end of February 2022. Over 1,800 single men are awaiting an offer of accommodation from IPAS currently and receiving an increased expense payment in lieu of that offer. As of the 30th of April, there are over 5,000 people with status or leave to remain residing in IPAS accommodation. Under the European Community's Reception Conditions Regulations 2018, those who have had their application determined are no longer entitled to material reception conditions. However, the IPAS continues to accommodate those with status until such time that they progress into the community. A Riverside Accommodation Centre in Borrisokane is a contracted international protection centre. To ensure IPAS accommodation centres are available to those currently being processed through the international protection system, IPAS is currently offering transfer to those who have been granted international protection or leave to remain the greatest length. Single adults and couples who have status for 9 months or more and families who will have status for 2 years or more are currently being offered a transfer to alternative IPAS accommodation. Those families who in July 2024 will have reached 2 years of status have been advised to transfer in Borrisokane to alternative accommodation in July. Each family was notified in writing of this in February and March 2024, and in recent months officials have held a number of in-person meetings with those impacted and advised that a transfer to alternative accommodation was under consideration. The IPAS transition team work in collaboration with DePaul Ireland, the Peter McVerry Trust, Department of Housing and local authorities to support residents with status to exit IPAS accommodation and access housing options. Those with status have the same housing entitlements as Irish citizens and are supported to register with a local authority and, if required, to avail of the housing assistance payment to secure alternative accommodation. In addition, those with status have the same social welfare entitlements as Irish citizens. In 2023, over 2,000 people with a form of status progressed into the community from IPAS accommodation. Already, over 1,600 people have done so in 2024. I understand there were meetings held in June 2023 and March this year with the dedicated IPAS transition team to set out the position and alerting residents to the existence of the available supports. Residents at this location in Borrisokane also have direct support from integration workers from Peter McVerry Trust who support residents in accessing housing supports. But just to reiterate, when Riverside Accommodation Centre opened at the end of 2019, 7,683 people were accommodated in IPAS accommodation. We currently accommodate over 30,000 people and have a significant number of people awaiting an offer of IPAS accommodation. I can come back to you a little bit more in the supplemental.
Dr. Kelly.
Minister, I know you're a good person, but I mean that response, which by and large is just a standard reply. I contacted your officials, as you're well aware, this evening to let you know that this was going to happen. I was going to read into the record this agreement from November 2019. Now, I can't state this any clearer. If the department, which granted was a different titled department in 2019, it was Justice, can't honour the agreement they made with the town of Borrisokane, with the residents, and I met with Maria, Mags, Martin, Keith, Tom and Robert earlier on, or later last week. If they can't honour this agreement, what hope have we got, and this is a very positive development, have we got in Ireland that the department can be trusted to honour any other agreement? This is unique. You have to honour this agreement or make some attempt to honour this agreement. This is in writing, signed by a senior official to a member of the committee who's a solicitor at the time. We now have a situation whereby I don't want to be going down to the people of Borrisokane and said they were sold a pup in 2019. They have done everything that was asked. The issue here is a commercial issue. So the company obviously have a commercial arrangement, by the way, which is up at the end of 2014, according to the knowledge we have. And they're now looking for 8 more apartments, which, by the way, they can't have a contract with because planning has only been granted. But the point I'm trying to make here, given the situation, given what was agreed, why can't the department ensure that all of these people who qualify for HAP, that in some way there is some agreement as regards the differential between what potentially is a commercial cost or commercial charge by this company to your department versus what these people are able to pay with HAP? Why can't an arrangement be made to help these people? These are vulnerable people. There are so many children involved here. They're totally integrated into the town, and the town is not going to let them down. The people I mentioned are not going to let them down. Surely, given what was agreed, because of the crisis that the department were facing in 2019 and they wanted Borrisokane to be different, surely they can keep their word and honour that and find some way to ensure that these families who were treated uniquely at the time in Ireland are dealt with in a very fair manner.
Thank you, Deputy. And just to say at the outset, notwithstanding the letter you have there have been other situations, unfortunately, around the country where international protection applicants, because they've been in IPAS accommodation for so long and because the community have been supportive, the community has not been happy when we've had to move them. But I heard about the letter in question and I tracked it down today, and I'm glad it was you that read the piece in rather than me, but my analysis of that commitment was that it showed an incorrect understanding of the difference between our mainstream housing supports and IPAS housing supports.
Deputy
Nevertheless, that's my take on it in terms of actually interpreting what was written there. And that's unfortunate. Notwithstanding that, I understand how the community feel about this. So look, we'll endeavour to talk to the resettlement team. There's potentially a role here as well for the new local authority integration teams. There's potentially a role for the programme I oversee, SICAP, as well, to see what more we can do in the acknowledgement that a lot has been done by the people in Borrisokane and that people do very much feel at home there as well. But that's my read of what was written in black and white at that time in a different department, but nevertheless I can understand how people have interpreted that. But we will look at what we can do in terms of offering people further supports.